Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight. I'm Alexis, joined by David, of course, big Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. And, of course, wouldn't you know it, this is the reaction and commentary series to one of our favorite shows of all time. So if you happen to also have S.H.I.E.L.D. as one of your favorites while you're in, good luck here because you're among a really good company. It had been, obviously, a couple of weeks since we were here. We had to attend to Superman and some other things as well. But now we're going to give our full attention to S.H.I.E.L.D. as it should be. Today, we are actually talking about episode number 8 of season 3, which is called Many Heads, One Tail. This was written by Jed Whedon and DJ Doyle, also directed by Gary A. Brown. Originally broadcast on November 17th, 2015, 3.60 million viewers, featuring our returning cast: Clark Gregg, Ming-Na Wen, Brett Dalton, Chloe Bennett, Ian DeCasticker, Elizabeth Henstridge, Nick Blood, Adrian Palicki, Henry Simmons, and Luke Mitchell. And, of course, our guest appearances by Powers Booth as Gideon Malik, Constance Zimmer as Rosalind Price, Andrew Howard as Luther Banks, Nelson Franklin as Steve Wilson, Mark DeCassos as Guerra, and Blair Underwood as Andrew Garner. Now, last time that we actually were here, one of the things that I started talking about was just like panning out the trajectory of the MCU and then also Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I feel pretty secure in the fact, and you know what, I'll tell you this. Even when I was really enjoying the MCU, I don't think it ever really came close to the fulfillment and enjoyment that I received while watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I think even more so, especially in these last 5 years, where their output, and talking about specifically the MCU, has been pretty bad. And I think it has made those of us who appreciated S.H.I.E.L.D. just a lot more emboldened and also just a lot more appreciative of how great it always kind of was. Now, I say this because, part of the reason for why we're doing this show in the first place is to just keep the show alive, of course, but also just to remind everybody involved that there will be a second wind, and there will be people who will come here and they're going to realize that perhaps, as Thanos would say to Nebula in Endgame, perhaps I treated you too harshly. And I think a lot of people are going to be feeling that way. And actually, David, in the editing, if you could put this tweet up, if you could, while I go ahead and quote him, because I feel like I found this, I want to say the day after or 2 days after that we recorded the last episode, and I think it actually kind of pans with it goes actually with what we were talking about last time in how brilliantly I think the show is going to age. This comes from the head critic. Yes, you heard that right. Not just a random anybody. The head critic for Slash Film. His name happens to be Chris Evangelista, so that's another one of the names we can add onto the long list of people who we quote on here. But he seemingly happens to be somebody who has discovered the show, and also, by the way, is somebody who I would probably gather was an individual that didn't really watch the show when it was on, and probably maybe checked out the first episode and that was like, maybe this is not for me. Um, Now, to be fair to Chris Evangelista, he's never been one of these people who has, you know, given the MCU fealty or has just like given them like the highest of praises. In fact, he's somebody who happens to be regularly critical from a healthy standpoint and a good faith standpoint, mind you, of many of the shortcomings when it comes to the filmmaking aspects of the MCU. So, just to give you a broad sense of where he's coming from and how normally he sees these things. And he tweeted something on June 30th that caught my attention, obviously. And I think definitely boosts our main thesis for this podcast. And this is what he says. Recently binged through every season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I gotta say, I had more fun with that than every single MCU movie put together. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. I gotta say, I had more fun with that than every single MCU movie put together. Just a silly, enjoyable show with neat characters. I want to remind everybody this is the head writer for Slash Film, the head critic, I should say, for Slash Film. And I just think, to me, while we are going through the run of this show and reliving it, and also, examining, critiques then and now of the show, and critical analysis of it. I think it is also just beneficial for us to be able to see people who may be discovering the show anew. And I feel pretty vindicated in what we've been talking about these last few seasons. Um, with this tweet, because I happen to be somebody who has felt this way for a very long time, and I think that particular standpoint continues to be strengthened with every single movie or show that the MCU drops, and it's just you really can't feel but it being inferior in comparison to um, definitely Agents of Shield. I think Agents of Shield definitely, in many ways, had the qualities that a lot of the films were missing. I think the MCU was high on spectacle, high on entertainment. They definitely had the jokes. They had a couple of interesting action sequences. For the most part, they did at one point look good, and they had maybe the single strongest asset. I think Kevin Feige definitely, in a lot of ways, gets too much praise. But one of the people who, and I can't even point to the name because it's not repeated enough. But I think perhaps maybe the saving grace of the MCU, maybe not so much the saving grace, but maybe the MVP, the casting director, because all the people that were cast for all the characters, big and small, just really added to this amazing ensemble of people who were just entertaining to be around while watching these movies, and I think that kind of like held up the ship. But MCU as a whole, the films themselves and the characters themselves, I think were quite lacking in retrospect, and also considering with what was happening on Agents of Shield, where they had fully fledged characters that went through arcs that grew every single season, that I mean, the complete turnaround of like what the characters are from year to year. There's always something new happening. They're changing it up, and in many ways, like the MCU, there were some installments where like maybe they were able to like change the aesthetic of it and like have the illusion, oh my god, they blew everything up. We're going in a new direction. This is great. But I think you have to also just keep in mind, like, part of the many reasons for why people don't like the MCU movies as much these days is because they've exacerbated one problem they've really had from day one, which is, um, with the exception of, of course, a few movies, but they don't seem at all concerned with character. I mean, they say that they are, but they don't really factor that into the writing. When they make stories, they don't really care as much about arcs or themes, and that will hinder you at some point. And I think ultimately, to have somebody out here and say that they had more fun with Agents of Shield than every MCU movie put together, well, I mean, I can totally understand that, because that's what I've been saying, and that's what many of us have been saying for a long time. I will just say the three movies that I would not like put in there, like the three Guardians movies are more so James Gunn movies than they are MCU movies, and I think those are the ones that I would like single out and not really include. Um, but yeah, I definitely do think that, and as we have been saying, David, that the last couple of years with every subsequent disappointing Marvel movie, which may or may not include Fantastic Four. We'll see how that turns out. Right? Like, that's the big question out there right now. If, as per usual, we're recording this on July 23rd. The film has been screened for critics, and of course, the initial reactions are very like, praise and like, oh my god, the best thing ever, and then there are written things that are like, ooh, maybe not as optimistic or enthusiastic, shall we say, about where the movie actually lands. So we never actually know anymore how we're going to feel about a movie that the MCU produces until we actually sit down and watch it. So I just think like, the legacy of Shield was always going to be a bright one, I feel, because the quality speaks for itself. I will tell you, though, as I said about a year ago when we first started the show, it has startled me a little bit how quickly a lot of the reappraisal of the show has kind of come. We only have just we're about to, with August, it's going to be 5 years since the show ended this coming August. We're not that far away from that, obviously. But I do feel that part of the reason for why S.H.I.E.L.D. is getting kind of this renewed attention to it and this new reappraisal is directly linked to the lackluster installments of the MCU, in which the vast majority of them, save for every few years, are just not very good. David, anything to say or anything to add on this? I know we mostly talked about this last time, but this is just something I wanted to bring up because it just felt kind of like a little bit of the proof in the pudding, what we've been talking about.
No, I mean, it's what we've been saying this whole entire time we've been doing S.H.I.E.L.D. Marvel movies have been pretty lame past couple of years. We'll see how Fantastic Four is. We'll probably feel the same way as we did as Thunderbolts, where we're like, you put in some effort. Cool. That's about it. So yeah, it is just still fun going back to this show, kind of going like, man, the MCU had potential. There were some fun times, and being part of the S.H.I.E.L.D. fandom at that time just made it even more fun.
Definitely. Do we have any comments from last time?
Yeah, we got 2 from Gary Marshall. First one is, whenever anyone says judge, jury, and executioner, I always think of Hot Fuzz when Nick Frost's character misquotes it as Judge, Judy, and Executioner. I haven't seen the movie in a while. I gotta rewatch it.
Yeah.
And then same one, Gary Marshall. I don't think it's ever revealed, but my headcanon is that in the finale, Fitzsimmons are playing with Aaliyah in the garden of their cottage in Perthshire.
Perthshire, I think, whatever it's called.
With Bobby and Hunter sipping Mai Tais off camera. And as for Oliver, if it's color he's missing, maybe he'd be happier reviewing My Little Pony.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, the writers of S.H.I.E.L.D. are, I think, among the best to ever do it in terms of like remembering all the little things that they say. Not to say that they don't retcon things here and there, but they are pretty good at like remembering what, in some moments are just like dismissed as something that's not all that important, but then you realize it could actually be used to make something a little bit more enriched. And I do think that when we get to the series finale, that's exactly where they are. So, without any further ado, should we go ahead and begin?
Wait,
all right. We have one more?
It's from our Wizard of Oz reaction. I just want to bring it up. It's so funny because this one person commented, "Too much talking."
I saw that.
Yeah. And then it also puts, "Why are you showing mirror image?" And I'm like, do people not know about copyright stuff? Like, this is just normal things that you do.
That individual, very clearly, I guess I just say thank you for the view and everything, but clearly he is somebody, or they are somebody they're not very informed about much of anything. I mean, if you're watching a reaction, people are going to speak. And I think you would hope that people would speak, because you don't just want somebody to watching a movie. You want to have an actual engaging, conversation. Okay. And then copyright, that's self-explanatory, so.
Yeah. We keep getting those comments of people being like, why are you showing like a mirror image of like the videos and stuff? And
well, we shouldn't be surprised. We are living in a reality in which the average moron is pretty plentiful, so it's like, it's not really that surprising. There are going to be idiots. There are going to be people who are, maybe they mean well and they're not informed, but if they watch the kind of things that we do, they should know.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and begin this episode.
Previously on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'll be in touch. How about some breakfast?
how dare they ruin the first time they kiss with like that twist?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can't even focus on that. Oh,
One of the great symbols of Hydra.
You ever had octopus?
technically yes.
They're fine.
Predator. Same could be said of you.
Well, it's a terrifying symbol, but not my idea of dinner. Then again,
I'm with you there, Ward. It's not terrible. I mean, I'll eat it, but I don't care for the texture.
Yeah.
I don't think the taste is all that special either way, so it's like I don't really get the appeal.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like anything, but actually, I've tasted squid, and now I think I find that better because it tastes kind of like shrimp. So,
Yeah, that's calamari. I love calamari.
Hydra is a complicated organization, and I don't have time to give you a history lesson. I do have some long-standing plans that are finally coming together, and your simple vendetta doesn't currently fit in with them.
People say it's like Powers Booth is just really good in this role. Like it's one of those like characters where you're just like any scene with him is just automatically a good one. He also just has like that distinct voice where I'm like, also goddamn Ward.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, Powers Booth, he's kind of like that one guy from The Real Shield, the one that was like in charge. I can't remember his name.
yes, Edward James Olmos.
Yeah, Edward James Olmos, where like I feel like they kind of give him the same thing with him, where it's like he has to come in and make a presence right away because we're supposed to believe, that he is a leader that's sort of just like the Real Shield person. We need to believe him as a leader that's kind of like possibly better than Coulson. We need to believe that with him.
Yeah.
He needs to be better than Ward, which I think Powers Booth does a better job at that. Which I mean, nothing against the other guy. I can't remember his name again. Sorry, I got distracted. Unlike the other one, it's just mainly because I think
Edward James Olmos as Gonzalez, right?
Yeah, Gonzalez. I think I remember that better. Unlike Gonzalez, though, I think it's just easier to believe Powers Booth to be evil, whereas Gonzalez, we just don't like him because he's taking over a character that we like. So
Every volume on symbolic anthropology and iconography I could find. Hopefully it matches.
Must they do this to us?
I feel like you're going to tell me I didn't make Little League All-Stars. Shield is going to use that as a way to gain access. Going in on the ground will be Bobby and Hunter. Quarterbacking from Zephyr 1 will be Daisy and Mac. Handling extraction, May and...
Him.
Okay.
I don't know why I found his look funny. He's just like, what? Wait, what?
It really was like, yeah. And Coulson was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue.
these babies burn up to 2,600 degrees. I was a bit of a pyro when I was a kid.
Bit.
This episode, if I remember correctly, they really did a lot of they had a lot of fun with like really getting to see how much Ward has like embraced this like big bad wolf persona. Like he at this point is just like an out and proud, just like, you know what, I'm a bad guy and I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like I think like he legit like kills a lot of people this episode and just like
Torches all you want, there's nothing to tell. He uses different people when he travels as Zep Cal.
see even this what he does right now is just like really twisted.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna kill this guy for telling him the truth.
I lied. Strucker has many volts. I know them all. Just didn't know Zep Cow was the one I needed. Be proud. You stayed quiet.
gives him that ridiculous compliment, and off screen probably killed him after.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like,
It's also another reason why you gotta keep your villains alive. Because
Yeah.
so many of them always start off with like this motivation of, tragic backstory. But I feel like a lot of them do just end up getting worse and worse as story progresses, because it's just kind of like,
Yeah.
we have, like, because they keep facing someone that puts them away. And it's just like, I want to do evil things, god damn it. And I feel like that could be
Yeah.
any bad guy, you just to the point. And that's where you actually can leave the whole should I kill them or not. That's always been the question with like Batman and Joker. It's just like, I mean, Joker was already psychotic from the beginning and all that, but the more he does, it's like the more you have to question, should you keep him alive? and with this show, we do get to that point of like, yeah, we gotta do everything we can now to take him out. That's what it leads to Coulson to do.
because at this point, it's been a repeated problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like when he got out of like prison, he like went away. Like he's actively like sought them out to do harm,
Mm-hmm.
like in many many ways. Like at this point, like he beat the hell out of Bobby. Almost killed Andrew. So,
Mhm.
and that's on top of like the initial betrayals in season 1. Like it's just like, and then there'll be one more, unfortunately, which will be like the last straw.
Yeah. No, yeah. Beginning of the season, it was mostly like, yeah, we got to get rid of Ward, but it's like a background thing. It's just like, if it's gonna get done, it's gonna get done.
Yeah.
Whatever. But then, like I said, you keep him alive, gets more and more psychotic. Now it just pushes everyone to the point of like, okay, all hands on deck. We got to kill him.
Yeah.
Investigative task force. How may I help you, Mr. Wilson? What exactly is going on over there?
I love this scene because like this is really for like I think Lincoln. You see his reactions. This is for him to kind of discover the fun antics that Shield can get up to, and he's just like, this is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Besides Ashley Madison, he's the best consultant we have. Otherwise, he'd be in jail, or I'd have shot him by now.
She means that.
You call detecting some sort of broadcast?
The ATCU security is way too strict.
Was nothing brought into this facility in the last 24 hours?
Our employees' keys don't make it past security. We haven't brought in anything except the...
The guy at the TCU has also worked as an IT guy on like many other shows, and the only other one that pops up on my mind is The Office. If you remember his scene, that's funny.
He has that look, yeah.
Dearest, is it possible that your containment module tried to access the ATCU system?
Absolutely. It scans any local network it finds. All our hardware does.
Well, we noticed, and we're gonna have to go ahead and shut that down.
Can't blame a guy for trying.
They're so cute, man.
Right? Like when she goes, dearest, like, what the hell? Why you gotta be so cute? God damn it.
But it's like, you can't blame the guy for trying. I mean, and you see, she even says, you're lucky you're cute. Oh, man. This show did us dirty, man. Like, they're getting us so invested in this, and then the next episode is going to be like, like, come on.
I wonder if they did chemistry reads with Coulson and her. Like, I wonder if they had other people in mind, and they were the ones with the most chemistry.
That's a very good question.
I'm so curious what they had in mind.
The symbol used for his space program, tied to ritualistic blood
I mean,
sacrifice.
we have to, like...
People working with NASA.
I feel like we don't do it enough, but like...
Andrew, have that sync.
I said it earlier in this episode that the person who is the casting director for the MCU movies deserves the most credit. I mean, they've always brought in great people onto the show, whether it be like high names or lesser known actors. Like I think like one of the best casting choices ever. I mean the whole main 6 from the beginning, right? But like, when they brought in Jeff Ward, they themselves are like, whoa, we got to keep him on as long as we possibly can. You know, the Jeff Ward that plays Deke. But he was relatively unknown. You know, he wasn't really like that big of a deal. Whereas the big names that they've brought on here, they've done something notable. I mean, you think of like Patton Oswalt. Well, that's one I meant to say. From season 1. God, what's his name? Who plays Garrett? John Garrett.
Oh.
Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton. Yeah. So Bill Paxton, or whether it be Edward James Olmos, who plays Gonzalez, Constance Zimmer too. At this point, I think was coming off of like House of Cards and I think her own USA show, and then Powers Booth, of course. I mean, all of these are like well-established like actors, whether known for other movies and TV shows, and they come in here and they like kind of like
killings. It's
they're a
intertwined
pretty
with the
big deal.
origin of pagan devil myths.
And then suddenly there they were, secretly funding NASA missions.
And then sometimes they do have apparently misfires. Like I guess like the Dylan actor that played Will didn't work out for them. But again, I gotta tell you, this was news to me because when I watch these episodes, I can tell you that there's like shenanigans happening behind the scenes. Remember that while this is happening too, like Marvel's Most Wanted is like apparently a thing, and they're preparing for the departure of two of the main characters here. This was a frustrating thing to experience because I'm like, why are Fitz and Simmons fighting over this? But we'll see right now in a couple of scenes. But even this, like, I love how all the different ways that they're, you know, putting a spotlight, as Coulson would say, on some of the things they have in common.
I started to inadvertently uncover how much of that history S.H.I.E.L.D. had helped to shape, so they snatched me up.
So right here is gonna, like, I mean, I had no idea at this point how many dividends that this scene alone would pay off. But, like, this is the first, like, outright instance where they kind of, like, really, like, not just show us, like, how it was that Coulson got his, like, into S.H.I.E.L.D., but it kind of, like, definitively, like, oh yeah, this guy's a history buff, and he was like really unearthing a lot of the mysteries that S.H.I.E.L.D. had covered up, and that's gonna play in bigly, as one would say, next season when he becomes a history teacher in the framework. But even also like their shared interests, you know, they have the commonality between how they're have a big affinity for, you know, tactile objects, you know, for analog things, for physical media. And I, of course, can relate to that, you know, with, you know, things that I have currently on me. Like, physical media is a big thing that people should continue to push and, you know, feel alive. Keep alive, I should say. And I think it totally makes sense that. And also just to keep in mind, for those of you who have been paying attention, you know, Rosalind said they're the smell of a book, which is something most people can, like, relate to. But if you remember, in a few episodes ago, when they supposedly broke into her house, she had, like, all these, like, autobiographies of, like, Margaret Thatcher. So, like, she's a big book reader. So, again, they're not just pulling things out of thin air. It's like...
Hunter. Oh, God, Hunter.
Yeah.
Wait.
Please tell me you know
Sorry,
what
this
flash
seems so funny.
No, it is. It is.
Just a click.
Even Bobby's face.
Helping your sluggish code keep up.
Hilarious.
The username.
Username. God save the Queen.
Two jokes that I like that we passed over. One was when Rosalind looked at the axe and she looks at Coulson like, "Is that the axe that cut your head?" And he goes, But I love that there was no dialogue. He knew what she was thinking. It was funny. The other one, Coulson checked his watch and it says Blonde and Brit are inside.
I love this moment also too right now where Mac is like looking at Lincoln. Agent May said you were with her on this one, and Lincoln's like, yeah, and Mac's like, I suggest you move your ass. It's a funny little thing here. This is like Lincoln's first day at S.H.I.E.L.D., which is hilarious. I had to remind ourselves. But I also just want to say, like, look, this is why people like Hunter. Most people, I should say, like Hunter, and I think this kind of shows the value that he brings to the show. Is like he's the funny one. He's the comic relief, and he excels at that. This right here cracks me up. What we're about to watch, how May just like kind of lets it rip without any warning. I mean, yeah, and
it looks good,
just like that too.
CG.
Yep, that was a great shot too.
This is not fair. And I'm mad that you're so willing to help.
So, as opposed to what? What do you...
And I think that's why in season 3B, their absence is noted because, oh my God, I can't talk over the scene. Sorry. God.
Because we're cursed. The bloody cosmos wants us to be apart.
The cosmos doesn't want anything.
Yeah, well, I beg to differ. Because we had years, side by side, never occurred to us. And then when it does, we don't have the courage to talk about it. I can't hate him. He's great. Why else would you fall for him? He did everything right.
And you dove through a hole in the universe for me.
Oh, I forgot that she like reciprocates. I was like, okay. This is so emotionally like conflicting. Well, not conflicting, just complicated. I think it's conflicting for both of them, obviously, because he's like, what the hell is this? And she's like, why am I in love with two guys? And this, maybe we are cursed. This was a long time coming. I want to say this is 51 now, right? Last episode was 50, right? Am I not, or was it? Oh, no,
Yeah.
it's 52. This is 52 now. 52 episodes to get the first Fitzsimmons kiss. That, my friends, is playing the long game. And of course, as they were saying, they went through a lot. What I was gonna say is like, this is one of the things I think that was a little bit weird in season 3B, which we'll see right now in the weeks to come when we actually watch that season. But like with the absence of Bobby and Hunter, there was a little bit of a decrease as far as the use of humor is concerned. And that could be maybe one of the reasons for why you can feel that. And I guess we will have to keep that in mind when we get there in a couple of weeks.
With what, a cure? I know how pharmaceuticals work. What are you, a decade away from treatment?
It strikes me that no one's asked if you even want treatment. They haven't asked your opinion on the situation at all, have they?
No.
I think this scene really shows you like what a power player Malik is. You got to keep in mind this guy was on the World Security Council. He advises the president. He's also the head of Hydra. In case anybody forgot, like he's very good at like weaving himself into and talking into anybody, and very, very manipulative without you even realizing it. Like he's able to manipulate Andrew without even like, and Andrew's pretty fucking smart.
I can help you, Dr. Garner. But first, I need to know what else S.H.I.E.L.D. has been hiding from us.
Andrew isn't here. Guys, are you sure this is the right area?
And this is we don't see this discussion happen on camera, but basically what Andrew tells Gideon is that S.H.I.E.L.D. was able to bring somebody back from Mavith. And that's the thing he's going to take away most from, because then he's going to be more involved with certain members of Coulson's team, and then also that's what kind of gets him around. Well, maybe I'll need Ward after all to be able to secure the individual scientists. That way, I can finally bring Hive back from Mavith. That's kind of like what we don't see happen on camera, but we will be told about later on this episode. Also, can I say, Hunter, nice glasses. I believe the glasses he's wearing are almost similar to mine.
Oh yeah,
like that I'm wearing. Right. Yeah, they
different
really are. It's like
color. I think his look more brownish.
Yeah, I think his are more. They seem more round. I think than a little bit more round than mine. We'll see. But they look pretty close to mine, actually.
Copy that.
They're not studying medication, Bobby. They're administering them.
Although I've gone through so many pairs of glasses in life, so it's like
They're playing the odds, giving Terrigen to as many people as they can. They're not trying to cure Inhumans. They're turning them.
Also, it has not been mentioned yet, but it's kind of cool to see like Daisy on a computer again.
Mm-hmm.
Not like just being the muscle. So it's like I'm glad that any other show would have like forgotten that part of the character and like never brought up again or used again. But I love how like again the writers have long memories and like, oh yeah, Daisy is also very talented at being a hacker, and even her feeding Hunter lines through the comms, very, very well.
Otherwise, you're never leaving this room again.
That was very threatening, Phil.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure she appreciates that.
Getting the truth out of you once and for all.
Is this a joke?
I'm not laughing.
What, you think there's some hidden secret you can just scare out of me?
I have my people infiltrating your facility. I'm getting the truth.
Also, one of the things that interesting about this room, it's a really good set. I love this room, but look at the honeycomb like walls. It's very much an homage to the original like cell that they had on the bus from seasons 1 and 2.
This was all a plan? To sleep with me? Gain trust and take advantage?
Don't try to talk your way out of it.
Or even sadder, you didn't plan to sleep with me.
I do feel bad for Phil here because he really miscalculated here. Like, she's actually being 100% straight.
I've been trying to figure out what to say. Because I do want to apologize. To you. For Andrew.
I should be thanking you for being willing to put those bullets in him when you did.
Crazy pairing, but it really worked out.
Right?
Yeah, I never would have thought about putting these two together in a scene and all, but I like the reasoning for it, and I really liked what he said in the end. It's like, dude, you put a bullet in your own ex-husband, like, it's fine.
Really complicated in here just now.
This
Listen,
right here.
Steve, you seem like a really good guy, and you were spot on about not being able to trust me, just wrong about why. See, I'm not very good at computers.
That poor coffee. And of course, Mr. Banks remembers the guy that punched him in the face a few episodes back.
Yeah. I mean, kind of surprising, because he did cover his face. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he just, for sure, just recognizes the eyes. I don't know.
Gideon Malik.
It's possible.
I know the name, industrialist. He served on the World Council.
He's a friend. I've worked with him more than a decade. He advises the president's staff, helped design the ATCU, oversees the science
division. I love how she was like, oh shit. That's Hydra was the science division of the Nazis. Which apparently are coming back. Did you see that?
What?
So, the Nazis.
Oh.
Turned and put into stasis, but
Let me guess. They didn't put them all in stasis.
Which legit, by the way, in season 7, Daisy literally says, "How are we still finding Nazis?" That's a cool power. He's basically a Magneto, right? Like,
Find the days where we didn't have to fight bloody aliens. It's just not a fair fight.
let's see if we can level the playing field.
so not as like, and it could just be the budgetary constraints of of it being a TV show, not a movie, but clearly just not as powerful as Magneto, because Magneto can do a lot of shit with his powers, as we've seen in the movies. So. This is the first time we see Bobby's retractable batons, which a shame we didn't see more of, because I mean she's going to exit the show pretty quickly from here.
What the heck did he use?
Some gadget off screen, apparently.
Yeah.
Red Skull was following the principle that Hydra was built upon, that the ultimate power was not of this world. But Hydra, well, we're much, much older than that. Over generations, Hydra's taken different shapes. The entity has been given different names.
I remember seeing this the first time, and I was literally freaking out. I was like, God damn, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, just the idea of how far back it goes and everything. Like, I don't know. This was when the whole secret organization thing was still really, really cool within the MCU. But now you got the Shang-Chi's dad, secret organization, the fucking Black Widow dude, secret organization.
Yeah, there's like a long list of them.
Yeah, it's like
the Eternals, I guess, are their own secret organization.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
May thinks I'm a monster, but you actually become one.
I guess we know her type.
Jesus, man. Jeez, don't you want to punch him when he says that shit? Oh my god, he just had to rub it in there, of course, because they both have been, that way with May. It's, oh my god. Let's go ahead and jump straight into Ami.
That sucks. I assume that's what he's intending to do. I mean, the more he transforms, the more it solidifies. So his revenge in the end will be doing exactly that, which just sucks too, because on top of that, Rosalind and May both agreed to allow this to happen, to hand him over to see if they could cure him. And it led to him being put in this situation. So once this is revealed, once this is brought up, that guilt is going to be overwhelming if they can't fix this, undo this, free him, whatever. I am so relieved that Rosalind, after all of this, had no clue. That's what I was really, because I love the back and forth between those two, and they've fallen for each other, but being in their agency in the spy world, they could never fully give themselves over. But it seems like she did. But Coulson just didn't. There's still a piece of him that never could. And that created this tension, this hurt, this pain between the two of them, because she genuinely fell, like, completely. I mean, I get from her perspective, I guess, like, putting that faith in your backer into everything you've built your life around, and even your own hopes. Like, her story about her husband is true. Her intentions were true. And it's part of that I think made her a little naive to what was actually going on. The fact that you took their word to this thing she's never seen is like she said, they said we can't go down there. It's a fear of infection or whatever. While they were doing all these other things, she genuinely thought they were putting people in stasis to cure them when they were just creating an Inhuman army. So does that mean that only people with the Inhuman marker was sent across to the same? Because they said they were building them an army. Or were those sacrifices? I'm a little confused on that, and I think they tried to explain it, and maybe I just didn't understand it completely in the moment, so I would love some clarification. Were they sending the Inhumans through the portal, or are they stockpiling the Inhumans? Because they clearly have some on the payroll with what's-his-face, with the levitating pistols, the guy that had basically like Magneto powers. Like, they had him, and God knows who else. Basically, everybody on this floor, they said, has been forced to take this medication, which means everybody that is dead has been cast off, and everybody in there should be an Inhuman. That's basically what the implication was. So then, are they sending people through the portal just as a way to test it, as sacrifices? They did say there was like a sacrificial ritual to it, but that could go in a multitude of ways. They were offering up Inhumans to this thing to build its army, or they were feeding it. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the aim was or the goal was. The intention was to figure out how to two-way it to bring the people back so they can bring this thing back. But it's just interesting to me, they built this entire organization around this. Like, if this is the origin of Hydra, was finding this monolith, trying to explore it, learning about this entity on the other side that was imprisoned there, and trying to free it and serve it and all this stuff. Do they know who it is? Do they know what it can do? Do they know anything about its intentions, its goals, whatever? Like, what do they actually know about this thing other than that it's powerful, it's an Inhuman, or it's whatever? Like, it's just like there's a lot of questions, and there's a lot of weird faith that is being built around something they don't know jack shit about, and no way to actually have an open dialogue with either. They don't know what it wants right now. They don't know what state of mind is right now. They know nothing, which just makes them sound so vehemently ignorant. Like, and that's just, I guess, I mean, that's tracks for Hydra. Interesting to me that that's this new origin. Like, it didn't start with Red Skull. It started before that. He just carried those ideals on and took it in his own path. You know, he kind of hijacked Hydra and took it a different direction, and this guy's kind of taking it to its roots. Or not that it's never even left its roots. It's just, you know, I don't know. It's weird. It's interesting. A lot of great stuff in this. The infiltration of the ATCU was a lot of fun to see, with the, you know, quarterbacking from Daisy, kind of going back to her old shtick a little bit, as Hunter and Bobby were going in, and him playing the hacker was super fun. I dug that. That was a fun little gimmick to have for the episode as well. Ward kind of going on this audition was interesting. The way Coulson was able to piece together all these different details, work his way into the ATCU. And I don't know, it's just like there's a lot of fun espionage elements that went to play into this. The entire mission was like fun to watch it unfold, but it breaks my heart to see just how Rosalind has fallen into all of this and where she falls in this, because like she had her heart broken and her world shattered when she found out that what she was doing was not exactly true, and that she was unknowingly a pawn in whatever was going on with Hydra. Never crossed her mind at all. And Coulson, in the end, was right to hang on to his that itch in the back of his mind, that little seed of doubt, to keep pressing. But it could be at the sacrifice of what they could have had, and that'll break my heart a little bit if that doesn't pan out. Because I think they are. They're really fucking adorable. I really, really dig their dynamic. The thing with Lincoln and May, and her like bringing him along because it's like she's trying to figure out how to apologize to him, and he thought like she was just going to take him out for what he did to Andrew, or what he thinks she would think that he did to Andrew. And then it's just like she was just like, I didn't see this. He's killed a bunch of your people. I should have known. I should have been able to stop. And then they came together, and it was a great little moment. And then you have Fitz and Gemma trying to figure out their self. They're investigating. He's still just full on going into this, and she's getting frustrated with how genuinely he's putting all of this effort into bringing this guy back who he should genuinely be upset with, and he is. But he's just been really good about keeping that from Gemma. And he's not mad at her, because he can't really be. It's not her fault. It's just outside of their control altogether. And I like that, and then he goes down this rabbit hole of all these things that have in the universe just keeps preventing them from being together, from their own ignorance of their feelings, of their relationship, to when they finally decide to explore it. It's just before what happens when he sacrificed himself, or tried to, and then the other time around when they finally were about to make it happen, she gets sucked into this other portal. It's just like the universe, the moment they realized they had these feelings for each other, that they both did, Fitz kind of always knew, or at least eventually knew before she did. But once it finally got to a point where they could finally make something out of it, there's always something that comes between them. And they clearly both have these feelings, and as much as she developed feelings for Will, she still feels for him. It's a very complicated situation. I think as much as like, well, do you love him? And she's like, well, yeah. I think if you asked the same question about him, she would also say yes. And I think regardless, I think at the end of the day, they both never stopped loving each other. Obviously, Fitz did, and I don't think she ever stopped loving him. She allowed herself to become available because she resigned herself to the possibility she would never make it home. So that's still genuine. So it's just, I don't know where they're going to go with that. Because if they do save Will, because it's at the end of the day, he's like, what do you want me to do? Just leave him out there to die? There's a guy out there we know is alive. No matter who he is or what he is to you, that's not going to be something that Fitz is just going to let fall to the wayside just because he's a little pissed off that something like that happened. It's not like Fitz is just going to leave him to die knowing there's a guy out there fighting for his life that he can help. Even if it is somebody that had kind of fallen in and taken his place. Fitz has too big of a heart to kind of do anything like that. But he still feels his feelings. He's still hurt. He's still angry. And not at himself. And not at her, but just the situation. I don't know. It sucks. It sucks, but we'll see. So if that thing isn't a human, it changes shape. It's part of the sandstorm. Like, what can it do? One thing I did want to loop back on, because I was talking about why would like this inhuman gene evolve in a way to create inhumans that are counter to their own, like as a species, like the guy who is allergic to his own people, and to Andrew, who has this hunger to kill them. I kind of forget that this is like an intelligent design sort of thing, and that was something somebody mentioned in the comments. I apologize, I don't remember the username or anything like that. But there was plenty of people that clarified on that a little bit further, reminded me that this is a design, a product of another civilization's attempt to control genetics. It was also mentioned at one point that someone's power will manifest in whatever is needed at the time for the Inhumans. So it's almost like the reaction is intelligent. The mist is intelligent. It's somehow conscious and aware almost like there's a hive mind that sends this information around. And now that there's this uncontrollable release of the mist and Inhumans are just popping up and sprouting up uncontrollably, like without any kind of greater machination or plan, it led to the creation of Lash to balance that. In response to the growing number of Inhumans being born, he was born to help check that. I was treating it like evolution, and that is very different than what is actually at play with the Inhuman stuff. So that was an error on my part, I think. But that makes so much more sense since that was kind of clarified. Anyway, that said, man, great episode. Really interested to see how this pod comes to a close, like how this transitions into the next section of the story as we're kind of getting away from this a little bit. And now we got this whole cult to explore, this, I don't even want to say rescue mission, jailbreak that they're trying to prevent. Meanwhile, they do also have a rescue mission because they do need to get Will. So either way, they're going to open that portal and who knows, Will might not be the only thing that comes through it, which will be interesting to see. But great episode.
Go ahead and go into some of the other reactions here initially from fans. Hacker Hunter is best Hunter. Flight Attendant Ward is best Ward. Oh my god. The Redcoats, as Hunter was like going for. The entire sequence with the flight attendant, the look on her face telling us that only the worst was about to happen, was one of the best scenes in the show. Such a stellar episode. People wanted a badass villain that was completely original for the MCU. Ward is your answer. That little hole in the monolith finally makes sense. Multiple holes, as a matter of fact. A dangerous new enemy. Monolith Jr. seeking revenge against S.H.I.E.L.D. for the death of Monolith. Oh my god. It's all connected. I guess they really weren't kidding around with that one. The Inhumans, the Monolith, Hydra, and even Red Skull and the Tesseract make more sense now. This episode really blew me away with the writing. We've had 3 totally separate storylines over the last few episodes, with everyone just kind of doing their own thing. Fitzsimmons with the Will research, Ward with this new Hydra, and Coulson and company dealing with the ATCU and Lash, and they tied them all together with this one. I was starting to wonder how Ward factored into all of this, and up until recent episodes, I kind of felt like they were just giving him stuff to do. Fitz and Simmons have been off on their own project for a few episodes as well, so it's awesome how it is part of the same plot. Yeah, that's kind of what S.H.I.E.L.D. does, right? They make you think that they're all these like separate things, and then it turns out it was all one thing all along, which is, I think, and they do it kind of sneakily too. You're not really seeing it coming, and then it's like, oh no, everybody was like on the same shit. You just didn't realize it yet. The Fitzsimmons kiss finally happened. Prepare for the heartbreak to be tripled. Oh my god. But she kissed him back too. It wasn't just one kiss. I have no idea how this will play out, but I don't care. Fitzsimmons is canon and it happened on my 29th birthday. It's 3:30 a.m. here. Oh my god. I'm going to bed happy. Oh man, those Fitzsimmons fans are no joke, aren't they? Something that went through my head during the big reveal was how much the movie only watchers are missing. I think this episode was better than Iron Man 3, and I actually liked that movie. Seriously, this episode dropped 400 plus years of Hydra history on its TV-going audience. So the thing on the planet tormenting Simmons is the original leader of Hydra, and he's super powerful and human. Awesome. After all the Lash and Rosalind reveals coming out so quickly, it's great to see that the main plot lines start to develop. This is a really interesting way to bring the Inhumans into the age-old S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Hydra thing. Gotta love Ward getting in on the whole thing too. I'm hoping Rosalind and the not-evil ATCU guys link up with S.H.I.E.L.D. for good. I wasn't sure what to think at first, but I really love Phil and Rosalind. Lastly, Fitzsimmons, my goodness. I love how they remembered that Daisy is a hacker. Right? It's like so many shows would have forgotten that at all, because it has been a minute. Let's see here. No, seriously, holy shit, what an amazing episode. Definitely my favorite of the season, possibly my favorite of the series. Whoa. I love how the mission patch tied it in so well. Everything in this episode was natural. Even the hacking was nice to see how it wasn't just like tap tap, I hacked the ATCU. And every character got focused. I loved that. Glad that they got the Roz isn't Hydra thing out of the way, and they had resolved easily with her and Phil on the same page now. Everything, every turn of this episode had me going, holy shit. So many questions about Will. Did he know he was working for? No, he didn't. No, I think they kind of explained that overall in the episode. Let's see here. Ward is one of those villains you hate to root for. Loved Hunter's damn Yanks shirt. You love him 1 second, and the next you want someone to put a bullet in his head. I plan on doing a rewatch over Thanksgiving, and I don't know how I'll feel after season 1 or about season 1 Ward after knowing this is what he turns into. Brett Dalton and Ian DeCastiger are such awesome actors. I haven't had a show suck me all in like this in a very long time. Let's talk about the underrated stuff that hasn't been brought up already. Lincoln/Daisy banter at the beginning. For a show that's all about heavy relationship drama, those two not only got off unscathed. Daisy's flirtatious remarks had a bit of chemistry to them. I will say there was a bit more chemistry to that than had been the last time. A little bit. That's why a bit.
So.
But that was her part. That was her part though.
Yeah.
Clearly. Also along for the ride is Lincoln and May's talk. May's a woman of few words, but the sadness on her face the entire episode says it all, really. Glad they reached an accord at the end. Mac pretending to be the FBI Cyber Investigative Task Force was fun. We know Mac likes video games, but otherwise he's always serious with a chip on his shoulder. Being able to go undercover was a fun scene, and hopefully Mac and his actor Henry Simmons get to come out of the shell more often. Though not, you've no idea. There's an episode I'm thinking of in season 7. It's all about Mac and some ridiculous. I mean, a Mac and Deke episode, which at this point you couldn't even have imagined. And there will be a Mac heavy episode this season later on, especially after Mac and after Bobby and Hunter leave the show. But yeah, I'm glad that there are some other aspects of the episode this week that are getting some attention. I know that for MCU fans, it's like, oh my god, Hydra retcon, or oh my god, Hydra's like oh yeah. I mean, but it is like mind blowing though. It's like, oh okay, and I will say it's nice to see that Kevin Feige and Marvel executives at this point cared very little for the show. That way they could just let them do that. Or honestly, what it is, they had no plans for Hydra going forward. So like, yeah, do whatever the hell you want. When it comes to this. But yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and go over to Eric Goldman on IGN. This is what he says. This was a very fun, fast-paced episode, though that finally brought together all of Season 3's storylines in a notable way, with Powers Booth at the center of it all, as one would expect when Powers Booth is present. So yes, the monolith is of great importance to Hydra, and, as suspected, Gideon has plans for Andrew as well. I enjoy Hydra as an ongoing enemy on S.H.I.E.L.D., but I do have to say, a part of me was hoping for something totally new as Fitz looked into the symbols he found on Will's uniform and their origins, and when they noted it resembled a ram, I was excited for the prospect of this being the MCU version of Zodiac. It still could be Zodiac as well, of course, but now we know for sure it's Hydra, and Hydra has existed for centuries, long before the Red Skull, in a notable example of a retcon. That strange bit of extra work to cram Hydra into everything aside, there was a lot to enjoy in this episode. Coulson using all sorts of manipulation and infiltration to find out the truth about Rosalind, even on the heels of their recent romantic connection, was an interesting turn of events, especially when she ended up being one of those to accuse him of having no emotions when she found out what he was hiding. What he was doing. Thankfully, Roz was actually not a bad guy and had been used by Gideon for his own means, as we learned that he was attempting to create as many Inhumans as he could. Mark Dacascos' Silent Guerra revealing himself to be one of these Inhumans led to a cool fight between him and Bobby, capped off by a nice sucker punch from Hunter. Hunter and Bobby's undercover mission up until then was fun as well. And I loved Hunter's cover as a hacker who'd been behind the hacks of everything from I think there was a typo error there. Ashley Madison, whatever that means. Fitz and Simmons continued to deliver this episode, and it's really impressive how they're selling the impossible situation Simmons is in. I'm rolling my eyes in advance at those who would label her slutty, quote unquote, or something silly for passionately kissing Fitz while trying to find a man she just admitted she loved, as they've really sold that she is genuinely torn here between these two men. This is a love triangle done right. Her rebuttal to Fitz proclaiming how perfect Will is, you dove through a hole in the universe for me, was a great moment. By the way, we should not overlook that. This is actually one of the, I know that in the 2010s it was kind of like a cliche thing, and it was kind of a reviled thing for any story to, utilize the idea of a love triangle. I guess this technically counts as one.
Mm-hmm.
Even though technically speaking, Will is dead right now, but still, we don't know that he's dead right now.
At the time, you didn't know, but even then, though, I was kind of like, it's not really gonna last. They're gonna get together.
you know. Meanwhile, damn, Ward continues to prove he can be sadistic as he tortured and murdered left and right. The scene where he whispered to a flight attendant that he was about to open the door on that airplane and her demeanor changed from flirty to terrified was highly effective. Plus, his first face-to-face with Andrew showed once again just how much he wants to hurt his former teammates. I have to mention how funny it was when Coulson had all those S.H.I.E.L.D. agents gathered in front of him, including a bunch of non-speaking extras. Those unnamed other characters feel like they go to Bayside. Oh, who's Coulson going to pick for this mission? Let me guess. Oh, Zach, Slater, and Kelly. What a shock. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, main character syndrome, whatever. Mm-hmm. All right, that's overall, Eric Goldman rated this 8.8. Great. Let's see what Oliver Sava at AV Club thought, giving this a B+. The title, Kisses, Curses, and Betrayals Dominate a Hydra-Centric Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Oliver writes, Hydra has been a presence throughout S.H.I.E.L.D.'s third season, but it's been a tangential one, with Ward and his evil organization distanced from the primary drama between S.H.I.E.L.D., the ATCU, and the Inhumans. Ward has been off rebuilding Hydra, and Coulson has sent a few of his agents to neutralize that threat before it gets any bigger. But Hydra has fallen down S.H.I.E.L.D.'s list of priorities in the age of inhumanity. That changes in Many Heads, One Tail, which pushes Hydra back into the forefront by connecting it to all of this season's storylines. Hydra was the mystery organization that sent Will and his crew to the alien planet, part of a ritual sacrifice Hydra regularly makes to the extremely powerful Inhuman banished on the other side of the portal. Hydra has also been pulling the strings of the ATCU, thanks to Gideon Malik's influence in Washington, and they have no interest in curing Inhumans. Instead, they're forcing Terrigenesis on unwilling participants to build up an Inhuman army, one that will serve that ancient Inhuman exile when he eventually returns to Earth. Malik plans on making that happen by using his piece of the teleporting monolith, and he wants War to help him learn how S.H.I.E.L.D. was able to bring someone back through it. Bringing all of the season's different story threads together gives this week's episode a strong sense of direction, and writers DJ Doyle and Jed Whedon balance these sweeping plot developments with intimate character moments that have more emotional significance. The big event in that department is Fitz and Simmons' kiss, a bittersweet moment where Simmons tries to convince her best friend that they're not cursed by the cosmos. With all the tension that has been building between these two characters, the kiss is a very welcome release, but it's brief. The ghost of Will haunts both of them, and a kiss isn't going to immediately exorcise it. Fitz and Simmons make some forward progress by unloading emotional baggage, but there's still plenty to unpack before they're at a point where they can start a romantic relationship. Of all this show's relationships, Fitz and Simmons has the most depth and definition, and ABC knows this. The promotional voiceover leading into this week's episode wonders if Fitz and Simmons are going to take it to the next level. And it's interesting that their storyline gets the attention when it's not the main plot of the episode. Their relationship is one of the major selling points of this series, and this season has been at its best when Fitz and Simmons have been the focus. Coulson and Rosalind are at the center of another troubled romance, and after last week's hookup, Coulson is even more suspicious of his new partner. He launches Operation Spotlight to uncover the truth regarding what the ATCU is doing with the Inhumans, and invites Rosalind for a tour of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s land-based facilities, which ends with her being trapped in a room and interrogated by her allegiances, or about her allegiances. As is often the case in Whedon TV shows, a man turns into a total asshole after having sex, and while Coulson has reason to be suspicious of the ATCU, Rosalind doesn't actually appear to be involved in the shadiness. There's still a very real possibility that Rosalind is deceiving Coulson, but this week's episode gives the impression that she legitimately didn't know about Malik's connections when he offered her the job. Much of that impression comes from Constance Zimmer's performance, which captures the pain Rosalind feels when Coulson doubts her honesty and her shame when she realizes that she's been a pawn. She shows a lot of vulnerability, but there's still plenty of strength in her performance. She doesn't let Coulson badger her and has her own ammunition to fire against Coulson when he goes after her. Her most cutting, I think that was a typo. It's spelled M-U-S-T. Her most cutting moment is when she tells Coulson that he derives sadistic pleasure by metaphorically stabbing people through the heart because he was literally stabbed through the heart, drawing attention to the fact that Coulson isn't a particularly good person despite all his noble intentions. The action sequence does a lot of work to elevate this episode, beginning with Ward's takedown of Malik's goons at the start of the episode. Dynamically filmed by Gary A. Brown, it considerably increases Ward's threat level by showcasing Brett Dalton's skill as an action performer. Bobby's fight with Malik's Inhuman crony isn't as intricate as Ward's opening sequence, but it makes up for it by introducing an awesome new function to Bobby's batons, which are now magnetically attracted to metal bonds as Bobby's wrists. With martial artist and Iron Chef America host Mark Damascus as Bobby's Inhuman opponent, it would have been nice to see this fight go on even longer, especially because the episode cuts away when the action is still ramping up, but it's still a standout sequence. The prospect of Hydra having an Inhuman army is bad news for S.H.I.E.L.D., but a promising development for the series, which has been reluctant to really commit to the creation of reoccurring Inhuman characters beyond Lash and Joey Gutierrez. It's understandable that the show wants to stay focused on the characters that make up its very large ensemble, but there's an opportunity to introduce more spectacular storytelling to the series, and the writers aren't taking it. Hopefully, this week's reveals mean that the Secret Warriors storyline will finally kick into high gear because S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to want its own team of good guy Inhumans to even the playing field. That's it. That's all I got.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I mean, solid episode.
Yeah. Solid episode. I kind of usually it's always between like it's setup for like what's gonna happen with later episodes, or it's a culmination of everything that's happened, or it's the payoff basically. This one feels kind of like both. It's like they've paid off the whole like relationship between Coulson and Rosalind, paid off everything happening with Lincoln, in a sense. Like we're finally getting more development with him. We're seeing he was in this whole episode basically, so we're doing that, and then we get a payoff of the whole Ward and Malik thing going on. But at the same time, it feels like setup. It's like, no, they're finally working together, both of them. We're setting up things what's going to happen with Lash.
Hive? Oh, Lash.
Hive and also, but Lash mainly. Like, okay, we're gonna get some more crazy stuff basically happening with him. As to at first viewing, you're like, okay, what's gonna happen? But we know what's gonna happen. So it's just like it's kind of weird. Like this feels like both. It's like payoff, but also like you set up like a whole lot of stuff that again on first viewing you're kind of like, what's gonna happen? So yeah, I don't know. It was really, but still very solid. Love the sequence of events, obviously, and just it's good fun.
That's what Shield does best a lot of the time. Just provide a lot of really good fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, kids, we're going to go ahead and stop right here. I want to thank you all for watching. Leave your comments down below about anything we were talking about, as far as maybe what were your favorite moments of this episode, some things that you remembered, some things you forgot. Any questions for us, please leave them down below. And we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.